I am Tanushree Maharana, working as a lecturer in zoology at Noyagarh Autonomous College. Today we will discuss your topic of physiology, that is respiration. Before knowing the physiological process, what is respiration, let us understand what is an organism. From starting the starting from the life, we know that we were unicellular cells, then it became multicellular, and multicellular formed the tissue system, and different tissue system comprise of the organs, and different organs make up the organ system. Okay, so many organ systems unitedly form the organism, the whole multicellular organism, and the multicellular organism depends upon different kinds of physiological processes for its living. Those are digestion, respiration, circulation, nervous system, control and coordination of endocrine organs, movement and locomotion. There are several processes. Today we will be discussing, that is respiration. What is respiration? The process of exchange of oxygen from the atmosphere with carbon dioxide produced by the cells is called breathing, and occurs in two steps, that is inspiration and expiration. In our day to day life, we can see that we breathe to live. If we won't breathe, we are declared as dead. So for living we need to breathe, and by that process we exchange oxygen with atmosphere with the carbon dioxide by the process called inspiration and expiration. Inspiration is the process through which we intake oxygen to our body. It obviously we do not take particularly that it is oxygen we need to inhale, not like that. We take mixture of gases, and from that our body receives only oxygen, and carbon dioxide is released from our tissue to the atmospheric air. Okay, and the process by which energy is liberated is commonly known as respiration. The process in which the energy is liberated. Why energy is required? Energy is required for the day to day life. Energy is required for the day to day life, and that energy is liberated by the process of respiration. So respiration is the energy liberating process, and we can say respiration can be of two types, that is external respiration and internal respiration. External respiration means the breathing, exchange of gases, then transport of gases, then inside the cell there will be exchange of gases. When oxygen reaches to your cells, there occurs the metabolic process, that is called internal respiration. So breathing is the first step of respiration. So what is the difference between breathing and respiration? Breathing is simply the intake of fresh air and removal of foul air, means that carries the waste air from our body. Waste means carbon dioxide that is eliminated from our body, whereas in respiration it is the oxidation of food to form carbon dioxide, water and energy. So in order to get our food oxidized, we need oxygen, and that oxygen is supplied to our body through respiration. Though breathing is the first step of respiration, then breathing is the physiological process and respiration is the biochemical process. Biochemical process means the biological system involves changes in the chemistry of our body. Our body is composed of several elements like carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, etc. And these atoms constitute the molecules, the biomolecules like carbohydrate, protein, lipids, nucleic acid, and these are the structural parts of our body. And whenever a biochemical reaction occurs in our body, reaction means we know there is involvement of products, a series of process takes place and we get product. Okay, reactants give us the products. Here In these biochemical processes, the food is oxidized to give energy. Along with that, some waste material that is removed by the process called excretion, and the main excretory organ is your kidney. No energy is released, rather used. For breathing, we require energy. Okay. However, energy is released in the form of ATP in case of respiration. The energy liberated in the form of ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. This is the main source of ATP, or we also call it as the coin of energy. And mitochondria is the site where ATP is produced. Breathing is an extracellular process because it occurs outside the cell, and respiration is the intracellular process that occurs inside the cell. In breathing, there is involvement of no enzymes, whereas respiration involves a number of enzymes. Then, depending upon oxygen utilization, respiration can be aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Depending upon oxygen utilization, we breathe to intake oxygen, but there are certain organisms that do not need oxygen for the supply of energy or for the production of energy inside their body. So, basing on the dependency upon oxygen, we can say respiration can be aerobic and anaerobic. Anaerobic oxidation means oxygen is not required. In case of aerobic respiration, it requires oxygen, or it occurs in presence of oxygen. And in anaerobic respiration, it is a low energy yielding. It is low energy yielding because the carbohydrates, mainly glucose, is incompletely degraded into lactic acid in muscles and in bacteria, or into ethyl alcohol in each cell. So, here what happens? It is low energy yielding, means the energy produced is very low and incomplete degradation of carbohydrate occurs, so that we get the products like lactic acid inside the muscles and some bacteria, and ethyl alcohol in the each cell. Okay. Similarly, whenever the respiration occurs in presence of oxygen, what happens? It involves complete oxidation or complete combustion or complete burning of the glucose molecule into water and carbon dioxide. It is a high energy yielding process. The energy released in this process is much more larger quantity than the energy released in anaerobic process. Then what are the respiratory organs or organs of respiration in different organisms? Lower invertebrates. Here the term comes, the invertebrates means those organisms that lack the vertebral column. That may be a porifera, coelenterata, arthropoda, annelid, echinoderms. Okay. Lower invertebrates like sponges, coelenterous platforms, etc. exchange oxygen with carbon dioxide by simple diffusion over their entire body surface. Okay. Their body surface is involved for respiration. Where do they live? They live in water. Okay. The sponges, coelenterous platforms, they live in water, and their skin is in direct contact with water surface. So, and they exchange gases with the water medium. The dissolved oxygen present inside the water is utilized for their respiration. Earthworms use their moist cuticle, and insects have a network of tubules, that are the tracheal tubes, to transport atmospheric air within the body. Special vascularized structure called gills are used by most of the aquatic arthropods and mollusks, where vascularized bags called lungs are used by the terrestrial forms for the exchange of gases. Most of the aquatic animals, they use gills for their respiration. Okay, they use gills for their respiration, and their gill is supplied with afferent and efferent arterioles. Afferent arteriole carries the blood from the body to that gill, and there diffusion of gases occur, exchange of gases occur on that moist surface, and finally oxygenated blood is carried in the efferent arteriole. Okay, and lungs are present for aerial respiration. We are the terrestrial organisms, and we respire with the help of the organ that is called lungs. Among vertebrates, fish use gills, whereas reptiles, birds and mammals respire through the lungs. Amphibians like frogs can respire through their moist skin also. Amphibians also respire by the help of moist skin. Then mammals have a well developed respiratory system. What is that respiratory system and what are the components of respiration? We will know later. But now we will know the details of cutaneous respiration, or how the respiration occurs through moist skin. This diagram represents that you can see the red color blood vessel and the blue color blood vessel. The red color blood vessel carries the deoxygenated blood, means that is rich in carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is carried in the form of what? That we can you will know later in which form, and when oxygen is present, that is present in which form we will know later. So just remember now that the carbon dioxide present in the blood vessel diffuses to atmospheric air, and the oxygen diffuses through the moist skin to the blood vessels. So what are the steps? The cutaneous respiration or cutaneous gas exchange is a form of respiration in which gas exchange occurs across the skin or outer integument of an organism rather than gills or lungs. So here there is no use of gills or lungs. However, the respiration occurs through the skin. Here the skin is thin, moist, highly vascularized. Highly vascular means it is richly supplied with blood vessels, which facilitates diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide into and out of the body. So this moist, thin and vascularized skin facilitates the diffusion of oxygen, carbon dioxide into and out of the body. The skin is kept moist. How the skin is kept moist? It is kept moist by mucus secreted from the epidermal gland cells of the skin. The outer layer is the epidermis of our skin, and there are certain gland cells that secrete mucus, and this mucus keep the skin moist. Oxygen from the surrounding air or water first dissolves in the thin film of mucus surrounding the skin. So oxygen is present in dissolved condition in the surrounding water if it is an aquatic, and it is present also in air. This oxygen first dissolves in the mucus that surrounds the skin. The thin epidermal cells and thin wall of integumentary capillaries are permeable to dissolve oxygen, which diffuses into blood. So the cells of the capillary means the junctional part, the junction between the artery and the vein. These are fine tubes. So these cells are permeable to oxygen. Oxygen diffuses. Diffusion is a process through which the molecules move from its higher concentration to lower concentration without expenditure of energy. Diffusion is a process where the molecules move from its higher concentration to lower concentration region without any expenditure of energy. That is called diffusion, and diffusion occurs through the body surface. Okay. Carbon dioxide from the blood diffuses in the same manner. The way oxygen enters to the body, carbon dioxide is liberated by the same process. Cutaneous respiration occurs in a wide variety of organisms, including insects, amphibians, fish, sea snakes, turtles, and to lesser extent in mammals. There are certain mammals that also show cutaneous respiration. Cutaneous respiration occurs also in earthworms. Hence, we can see that most of the earthworms prefer to live in moist soil. Okay, why they live in moist soil? Their skin will be wet and they can extract oxygen from that moisture. Then come to the tracheal respiration. Tracheal respiration is seen in insects. Your model organism is that is cockroach. That is also shows the presence of tracheal respiration. Insects respiration is independent of its circulatory system. Okay, we know that circulation aids to respiration. When blood will be supplied by the circulatory system, by the heart to your lungs, then there will be exchange of gases, that we will know details in the subsequent chapter. Okay. The respiration in insects is independent of the circulatory system, therefore, the blood does not play a direct role in oxygen transport. So, there is no role of circulatory system or blood in oxygen transport. Insects have a highly vascularized or highly specialized type of respiratory system called tracheal system. The tracheal system is present in case of insects that consists of a number of or network of small tubes that carries oxygen to the entire body. So, oxygen is carried by a network of small tubes, and exchange of gases, exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide occurs between their tissues and the air by a system of air-filled tubes called tracheae. Tracheae open to outside through small holes called spiracles. Okay? You can see in this diagram that the spiracle is present on the surface of the body, then it leads to the trachea, and trachea ends in tracheole. You can see the arrangement of different spiracles, the spiracles and tracheal trunk in case of cockroach. Let us see the description. There are different parts of tracheal system that work together for respiration in cockroach. So, spiracle, first come to the spiracle. It is present on the surface of the skin. There are small holes present on the lateral surface of the main body. You can see in this diagram that there are small holes present on the lateral surface of the body. Next is, these are open to the air and present as openings just like nostrils in man. As you can see, our nostrils is present outside our body on the surface. Similarly, they are present as nostrils in man. So, air is taken with the help of spiracle that travels through the tracheal tube. The air is carried through the spiracle with the help of the tracheal tube. The opening of spiracle is regulated by muscular sphincters. When spiracles open, air comes in, and when they close, air does not enter. When the spiracles close, air does not enter into that tracheal tube. Then come to the trachea. Trachea means the ductus system. This system, let us know about it. What is that? Trachea means there are tube-like structures that open through the spiracle. This part carries oxygen from air received from the spiracle to other body parts. So, trachea is in carrying oxygen from the atmospheric air through the spiracle to the body parts. Next come to tracheoles. Tracheoles, they are subdivided part formed from trachea that appear thinner tube-like structure. Tracheoles have a network of fluid called that is hemolymph, and these are the sites where gaseous exchange take place by the process of diffusion. The spiracles lead to the trachea. Trachea finally divide to tracheoles, and these open to the hemolymph or the surface of the tissues where the gaseous exchange occur by the process called diffusion. So, what is the exact mechanism? The alternate contraction and relaxation of the abdominal targosternal muscle bring about changes in diameter of the trachea. So, tracheal diameter changes due to alternate contraction and relaxation of the abdominal muscle. That muscle is targosternal muscle. Okay, that changes the diameter of the trachea, so that air is forced in and out of the tracheal tubes through the spiracle. Due to contraction and relaxation of targosternal muscle, air is forced into and out of the tracheal tube through the spiracle. During intake of air, what happens? The muscles relax to open the first and third pair of spiracle that always remain open, and remaining 8 pairs open in inspiration. So, what happens here? During inspiration, the first and third spiracle remain open all the time, and all other spiracles open during inspiration, through which air rushes in and reaches up to the intracellular space through the tracheoles. Starting from spiracle, it enters to trachea and reaches to tracheole. During expiration, what happens? The abdominal muscles contract to drive the air out of the tracheal space through the last 6 pair of spiracles. So, during expiration, the last 6 pairs of spiracles are used for eliminating the waste air or the foul air that carries carbon dioxide from the body. Oxygen from air dissolves into the fluid of the tracheoles and diffuses inwards to the tissues in exchange of carbon dioxide formed in them. So, finally, gaseous exchange occurs, that is, oxygen enters into the tissues and carbon dioxide is liberated from the tissues by the process called diffusion. Then come to the branchial respiration. We can also say that the exchange of gases with the help of gills is called branchial respiration, okay, or branchiae. We can also say the exchange of gases with the help of branchiae. The other name of gills is branchiae, is called branchial respiration. It is of two types, that is external gills and internal gills. These are the tadpole larvae. You can see these smaller structures. These are the external gills present in tadpole larvae. Okay. Internal gills you must have been seen in case of fishes. बजारू माछ आनला परे देखुथिबो गाली आसे रेड कलर, that are the internal gills. The external gills are formed as branching outgrowth from the exposed epithelium of gill arch. So, gill arch, the exposed part of epithelium, give rise to the external gills. Ectodermal in origin, we know there are 3 germ layers, that is ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. It is ectodermal in origin and usually temporary organs found only in larval stages. It is temporary in larval stages because after the larval stage it will become adult. So, a process called metamorphosis. In that process, what happens? The external gills will resolve, okay, and there will be development of respiratory organs. They occur in larvae of lamprey, few bony fishes and all amphibians. I have shown here the tadpole larvae of the frog. They are profusely supplied with thin walled blood capillaries which can perform aquatic respiration. They are supplied with blood capillaries. When they will beat, there will be water current that will fan out, that will just push out the deoxygenated water and will get the fresh water, and due to the process of diffusion there will be gaseous exchange. Such gills only move in water to renew the surrounding water, but no respiratory current passes over them. Okay. Next come to the internal gills. These are the true gills. The internal gills are the true gills that are the characteristics of fishes. Fishes carry the true gills, those are endodermal in origin, whereas the external gills were ectodermal in origin. They are located in the gill slits and attached to the visceral arches. The gill slits are lateral opening of pharyngeal cavity connected to outside. These are the lateral opening. These are present laterally of the pharyngeal cavity connected to outside. They have connection to the outer side. Typically, a gill is composed of 2 rows of numerous gill filaments or lamellae, and such a complete gill is called holobranch. When we have 2 rows of gill lamellae, we call it a complete gill or holobranch. A single row of gill filament present on one side of the branchial septum is called demibranch or hemibranch. When we see a single row of gill filament that is present on one side of branchial septum, branchial septum ro gote side re thibo aw single row thibo, then we will call it demibranch or hemibranch. So, let us know the branchial respiration in prawn. Prawn has 8 pairs of gills. I have shown you the picture of the gills present in prawn. It carries 8 pairs of gills covered by gill chamber. There is a gill chamber that covers the gills, and these gills are of 3 types. What are they? one podobranch, one pair, as they are present in both sides. First pair is the podobranch, second is the second two pairs are the arthrobranchs, then first last 5 are the pleurobranch. The first pair is the podobranch, second pair is the arthro, means the joints. The joints, these are the arthrobranchs, then last 5 are the pleurobranchs. What happens here? The fresh water enters the gill chamber from behind due to the vibration of scaphognathite of maxilla. Due to vibration of scaphognathite of maxilla in the form of a current, there will be vibration of scaphognathite of maxilla and there will be a water current. This flow covers the lining of the gills, that is richly supplied with blood, and the exchange of gases take place through the permeable membranes by diffusion. So, what happens here? The gill slits are supplied with blood vessels and the gaseous exchange will occur through the permeable membrane. Permeable means the membranes that permits the transportation or the passage of different biomolecules or different molecules, and these membranes are permeable, that it allows the diffusion of gases through it. Then come to the branchial respiration of cartilaginous fishes. Cartilaginous fish is your scoliodon. Okay, what happens here? You can see, before that I will show you, this is the anatomy, that is the respiratory mechanism of cartilaginous fish. Okay, these are the gill lamellae, these are the gill lamellae, 1 to 5 external gills that are present. Okay, this side shows the process of inspiration and this side shows the process of expiration. Okay, let us know in details. During respiration, water taken into mouth passes through the internal gill slit, bathing the gill lamellae, passes out of the external gill slit. So, what is the passage? The passage is the mouth. Okay, passes through the internal gill slit, bathing gill lamellae, then passes out of the external gill slit. So, what happens during inspiration? Contraction of hypobranchial muscle. Contraction of hypobranchial muscle expands the gill arches, pulling down the floor of buccopharyngeal cavity and enlarges it. What happens here? During inspiration, see, during inspiration the mouth opens, the gill, the 1 to 5 gill slits are closed and it opens the chamber so that the water current enters into it. Okay, as the external gill slits are tightly closed, you can see in this diagram the external gill slits are tightly closed. Okay, tightly closed, water enters the buccopharyngeal cavity through the open mouth. Then what happens in expiration? Mouth is closed by abductor muscle in expiration. So, there is a muscle that is called abductor muscle that closes the mouth. The constrictor and interbranchial muscles contract, raising the floor of the pharynx and reducing its volume. So, what happens? The constrictor and interbranchial muscle contract, raising the floor of the pharynx so that its volume reduces. Finally, its volume reduces. जोटा तुमर इंस्पिरेशन बेले वॉल्यूम अधिका थिला वाटर भितर को जाइतिला और से पैसेज देकी से बाहर केते वाला आसीबो ड्यू टू कंट्रैक्शन ऑफ मसल्स कोन हबो एटा ऊपर को राइज करियो वॉल्यूम डिक्रीज करियो ओके वॉल्यूम decreases as a result water is forced into the gill pouches over the gill lamellae and out through the open external gill slit, and finally water moves out through the external gill slits. Okay, fresh water, that is the fresh sea water. We cannot say that fresh water, marine water here. Fresh means the water carrying oxygen. Fresh sea water entering the gill pouches contain dissolved oxygen in it, and this oxygen passes by endosmosis through the thin membranous and permeable capillary walls into the blood. Through endosmosis, what happens? Oxygen enters into the thin walls of capillaries. At the same time, carbon dioxide of venous blood. Okay, when carry the carbon dioxide, passes out by exosmosis into outgoing water current. So, what happens? The oxygen moves by endosmosis and carbon dioxide comes out of the body by the process called exosmosis. Then come to branchial respiration in bony fishes. Before that, see the diagram. The bony fish, there is this covering is the operculum covering, and there is a membrane called branchiostegal membrane. Okay, branchiostegal membrane, and here the gills are the present with branchial septum. Let us see what happens during inspiration. Operculum and the branchiostegal membrane presses against the body, keeping the two external branchial aperture tightly closed. So, operculum and branchiostegal membrane closes the branchial aperture tightly. Okay. So, that what happens? So, that the gill arches bulge laterally, enlarging the internal capacity of buccopharyngeal cavity. So, that the size of buccopharyngeal cavity will increase, that will increase its internal capacity and will act like a suction pump. As a result, the oral valves will open and water flows in through the open mouth to fill the buccopharyngeal cavity. As a result, the oral valves will open and water will move through the mouth, okay, into the pharyngeal chamber. Then during expiration, what happens? The oral valves close, shutting the mouth. The oral valves that are open, that will close the mouth. The gill arches contract and the opercula and the branchiostegal membrane lift. The opercula and the branchiostegal membrane will lift. Okay, you can see here there will be lifting of the branchiostegal and the operculum due to the closing of the mouth. Okay. Next step is, consequently water current under the pressure is forced to pass over the gill filaments and out through the external branchial aperture, and finally the water is forced to move out of the body through the branchial aperture. As the fresh respiratory water passes over the gill filaments, their blood gives off carbon dioxide and absorbs oxygen from water. These gill lamellae are supplied with the blood vessels, that are afferent arterioles and efferent arterioles. Afferent carries the deoxygenated blood and efferent carries the oxygenated blood. Finally, in this diagram you can see how those are arranged. You can see the this is the operculum region of a fish that is cut open. Okay, the gill arch carrying the blood vessel, the gill arch carrying the blood vessel. You can clearly see here the oxygen poor water, or the oxygen poor blood. The oxygen poor blood enters through this blue pipe, that is the capillary that carries the deoxygenated or oxygen poor blood to the gill lamellae. Water current, the flow of water current, water flows in this direction, and the lamellae carrying the blood vessel both in that, and finally there will be exchange of gases and oxygenated blood is carried to the body. Oxygenated water is carried to the body. You can see water, how the water current flows here. So, the gill lamellae. Okay. Next is your pulmonary respiration, that is the respiration by lungs. Okay. Respiration by lungs is called pulmonary respiration. Lungs are the chief organs of respiration. Lungs are the chief organs of respiration. In embryo, lungs develop from the floor of the pharynx as a mid-ventral outgrowth. In the embryos, lungs develop from the floor of pharynx. Which one is your pharynx? Pharynx is the junctional part of your food pipe and windpipe. Here it lies. Okay. So, in embryos, lungs develop from the floor of the pharynx as mid-ventral outgrowth. Mid-ventral, mid means mid position, ventral means this is the ventral side, the back side is the dorsal side. So, mid-ventral outgrowth, this tubular outgrowth called trachea. Okay. That pipe part is called the trachea. After running for certain distance divides into two long bursts. After running to certain distance divides into two long bursts. The two long bursts grow in size and finally those lungs grow in size, branch and rebranch. Okay, branch and rebranch. It by mistakenly D lekha jayichi, that is rebranch repeatedly. Okay, branching occurs repeatedly and finally terminate with minute blind sacs called air sacs. Those air sacs are also called alveoli in case of human. Various organs are associated with pulmonary respiration. Only your lungs are not sufficient for respiration. Rather, there are other organs that are associated for pulmonary respiration. Those are larynx, trachea and the lungs proper. If we see the pulmonary respiration as a whole, the components of pulmonary respiration are the trachea, first come the larynx, trachea, then lungs. When we will discuss the human respiratory system, we will be knowing in details all this part. However, this diagram shows the different types of lungs present in different organisms. This is the tubular lung that is present in an amphibian larva, that is what? That is limbed amphibia. Then this type of structure देखा जाए कोठी तुम्हारे frog रे, next lizard रे को type रो देखा गला, then तुम्हारे mammal रे rabbit रे को type रो देखा जाउची, then तुम्हारे bird रे को type रो देखा जाउची, bird रे देखा जाउची कौन, that is the lungs proper is supplied with many air sacs. Okay, then we will discuss human respiratory system. Okay, before discussing human respiratory system, we have covered what are the different types of respiration that occurs in different organisms in details, and we will start human respiratory system along with its structural details and the physiological process involved in respiration, how the gases are transported and how the gaseous exchange occurs, and all the diseases associated with respiration in our next class. I hope you all have understood it clearly. Thank you all.